Hello, my name is Stine Fritsdal. I'm coming from KMD, and I'm here to speak a little bit about speech recognition and the future within speech technologies. So what is speech technology? Speech technology automatically converts speech into text. So it gives you a tool to do your daily work, whether you are a caseworker within the public sector, you are a doctor in a hospital, or you are a police officer doing reports on the street. What you can see here on the screen is the little icon, the speech recognition client, we call it. It's a small piece of software that is installed on your PC, on your computer, and it looks like this icon over here. You can also see right here it's actually turned on. So there's a little microphone right here. You turn it on, and with your headset or a microphone, you start speaking, and it automatically converts your speak into text. You can use speech technology to produce text directly into Word, Outlook, other email programs, but also other solutions that you have on your PC or that you have available. So that means if you are doing reports, if you are doing casework within a specific system, like an SAP system, you can convert your speech into text directly in that system by placing the cursor in the text field, and then the text automatically appears in that text field. So as you can see, it's quite intuitive, and it's a user-friendly way of using and working with speech technology. You can move the little icon around on the screen. It will always be on top of your programs, and you decide where on the screen you actually want to have this, this little application. Speech recognition is a sophisticated way of translating speech into text, in the sense that it has a unique user profile. So when I use speech recognition, I have to train my system, and I also have to place a lot of words of what I'm using normally in the system. So it will get to know me. It is my unique user profile. It is my unique language model that it's based upon. So it is also possible to do speech recognition on the go. It basically means that you have a mobile device. You can speak directly into this mobile device, and it's quite helpful for workers on the fly, doing reports, have to do emails, or whatever. So there's two ways of actually working with this system. There's a generic version, and then there's also, if you have an existing mobile application you can use for your device, we can build in speech recognition and hence make it much more intuitive and available for you. So some of the benefits of using speech recognition, the main part is that it makes you more efficient, in the sense that you can save a lot of time on your registration. So that basically means that you can speak much faster than you can type. It is also a possibility to optimize your work processes, and it's especially very convenient when you use the mobile devices, but also on desktop solutions. You can actually use speech technology, speech recognition, to do your work assignments differently. A very good example is caseworkers in the public sector using speech recognition together with the citizen when they are actually having interaction, when they are having a meeting, when they have to make a report to follow up on the meeting. So that will actually limit any confusion afterwards, because the citizen or the client has heard exactly what is placed in the system on their specific case. It also gives much more detail, because when you speak a little bit longer, you give more details, but you can also give it right away when you actually have it present in your mind, and not making notes on a piece of paper and waiting a week before you actually place it in the systems. It will also give you a more uniform communication. So it allows companies to actually have some guidelines and to say we only want to have these words in the systems, or when you say this word, it will convert it into this word. So we don't want to have, for example, abbreviations. One of the benefits is also short return on investment, and I'll get more in details with this a little later. There are tough cost reductions, and then there's soft cost reductions. So there's both time savings, less employees to do more work, but there's also some of the physical benefits for the individual with shoulder pains, reduction in shoulder pains and headaches and so forth. So who are the candidates for speech recognition? We see that local government have adapted speech recognition in certain areas, especially within case workers area. But we also see that the regions have adapted it. It could be doctors in hospitals, it could be radiologists and so forth. They have actually had a longer experience with speech recognition than any in the world. But we also see a huge potential within, for example, the police force, because you here have police officers doing both stationary work or desktop work, but they're also out on the street and speaking to people, making reports after accidents or whatever they have to make reports on. Another example is the finance sector, where you have for example, advisors within pension funds going to clients on client premises and can actually be able to make speech recognition together with the client and hence limit confusion afterwards or limit any further disagreement on what has actually been written on the case. So one of the parameters in choosing who are candidates for this work is, or for using speech recognition, is people who actually register more than an hour a day on average. If you look at the mobile area, then the parameters can be set differently because it is a different way of working, so you would be looking much more into which processes do they have to follow and how do they actually do their reporting today. We see a huge potential here. But for stationary workers or desktop users, an hour on average of writing assignments a day. So the road to a successful project. We focus very much at the change management route in the implementation. And this is because you give the user a system that actually only works if the user changes habits. By this I mean you have to do something that you are not used to doing. You have grown up as a user using the keyboard, using a typewriter, using hands for writing. Now you actually have to use your speak. It is a major change in working. So we have actually seen that implementation will be much, much more successful if you have a huge focus on change management. Because the biggest challenge is that you give the user a system, but you don't take away the keyboard. So you want somebody not to eat candy, but you place a candy ball just in front of them. This is the biggest challenge with speech recognition. Another thing you have to be very aware of is that successful projects depend very much on top management commitment, but also implementing speech recognition where it actually makes sense. It is very important to see which users are actually right candidates for this, who can benefit from it, because if you give a user speech recognition that only, for example, do check mark registration, then probably the benefit will not be very high, the user will not be very satisfied, and the system will probably not be used. But if you give the right employee this tool, you will see a huge rise in effectiveness, you will see fast, you will see a better ergonomic position when working because you have a headset on. So there are quite a few benefits also for the employee itself, himself or herself. Of course, each organization needs to look at their own needs and own capacity in order to, and own numbers for that matter, in order to estimate their own specific business case. What we see is traditionally 1 or 2 years return on investment, depending on the size and the complexity of this program, meaning how many people will participate, how big an influence will it have on processes, and so forth. Implementation time is normally 6 to 12 months, especially when it's a well-implemented project with change management very much integrated. But then you can actually see huge savings just hereafter. An example of prices is, for example, for 100 users, estimated cost will be around 1.5 million Danish kroner for full implementation, of course including microphones, and then afterwards yearly hosting support and maintenance around 300,000 Danish kroner. So you can see that there is a potential if you want to go into this route, but of course you have to be very aware that it is a complex project to implement. So this was it for today about speech recognition. So thank you very much for your time.